Good afternoon. I am back again. I am still not entirely well, as you can probably tell by how silly I sound and my face not looking its best again, but here we are. This is my third visit to my new Cineworld cinema that I have signed up to unlimited with, and at some point I will stop counting, I suppose, but it's still all very novel at the minute. I said when I reviewed... What did I watch yesterday? Already forgotten. Saturday night, I said that being able to come earlier in the day was fantastic and is something that's really going to work for me. So I did the same again today. Not a private screening today. There were other people in there, but I suppose I just have to put up with that sometimes, don't I? Another fantastic film, and another film that's just over 90 minutes. What is going on? Is 2025 the year that we return to 90-minute films instead of everything being 2 hours plus, 2-3 hours? So exciting. This is an excellent historical thriller. Really, really well crafted. Quite simply put, it is the story of how on the 5th of September 1972, 11 Israeli athletes and trainers were taken hostage at the Olympic Village in Munich, and the crisis that followed. So this is a well-documented story. It's a story that's been told in cinema before. But what is interesting about this is specifically this is telling the story of how the event was covered and broadcast live around the world by ABC's sports team. So it's the Olympics, it's 1972, it's back in Germany, it's Munich. As far as I'm aware, not being an expert on the history of the Olympics, the last time Germany had hosted one was 38. Which one is, well, Hitler hosted one, didn't he? Which is when the film The Boys in the Boat, it was when they competed. So whenever the Hitler Olympics was, God, Katie, don't call it the Hitler Olympics, but you know what I mean. There was an Olympics during Hitler's time in charge of Germany. I don't think Germany hosted one again until Munich in 72. So the eyes of the world are on Germany. They are trying to obviously change the image. And one of the things they decide to do is not have armed police in the Olympic Village, because they want to change the image of the country and show the rest of the world, you know, how much has changed in Germany since the end of the Second World War. Of course, the wall is still up at this point, so it is West Germany that the games are taking place in. And sports reporters from all the different networks from all over the world are obviously out in the Olympic Village to record the day's highlights and events and interview athletes, as you'd expect the coverage to go. So very early in the morning, about 4:30 in the morning, there is a handful of crew members in the ABC studios at the Olympic Village in Munich, and they hear shots fired. Of course, at first, they think it must be something else, because why would anybody be firing shots in the Olympic Village at 4:30 in the morning? But it becomes apparent very, very quickly that it was definitely gunfire and that a hostage crisis is unfolding. Now, obviously, this has to be reported on, and ABC back in the States wants to cover it themselves with a news team. But as the head of the sports reporting division points out, we're here, you're not. We are on the ground, we are here, we are the best people to tell this story. And we are still journalists, even though, yes, technically, we're sports broadcasters, not news broadcasters. The head of the team is played by Peter Sarsgaard, who I could watch in anything at any time. He is magnificent. He's one of these actors. He turns up, he puts in an outstanding performance, and he goes home quietly. And he's not the most striking looking gentleman. He can blend in quite easily. Not saying he's not a handsome guy. He's been married to Maggie Gyllenhaal for a number of years, and yes, he's a handsome chap in his own way, I suppose, but He's the sort of actor who, there's no vanity about him. He will disappear inside a role, and sometimes you might not until you get to the credits go, oh yeah, that was him, wasn't it? The main other guy that I recognised in the cast was Ben Chaplin, who's I think he's one of the producers. Ben Chaplin obviously is a British actor. I've seen him in a handful of things over the years. I will say his American accent in this was superb. I know they're actors, I know that's their job, but I still think good accent work deserves acknowledgement, and his was very, very good. So yeah, they're there, they're on the ground, they're trying to find ways to cover as much of the story as they can, to the point where they're putting massive outside cameras, massive inside studio cameras outside. They're doing what they can to get like angles and shots. They've got a German woman on the staff who's translating for them, and it's just absolutely fascinating. Again, like yesterday's film, like Saturday Night, it is a period piece. It's 1972. The equipment is basic and, you know, now looks comically vintage, but obviously then was like quite cutting edge stuff. But it's like, how are we going to make this work? The bosses on the phone arguing about who gets access to the satellite, because there's satellite coverage, but each different network around the US has an allocated slot where they have access to the satellite. ABC are arguing that they should be able to take it over, and it's just absolutely gripping watching this story unfold. And they're trying to tell the story of who are these men, who are these athletes, who are these trainers. Let's put a human face on it. You also see them have a discussion about how they're going to refer to the people who've taken the hostages, and the word terrorists comes up as like almost a new term for this sort of person committing this sort of act. So that's really interesting. What's also interesting for me personally, obviously, yesterday I watched a film about behind the scenes at a television show, although a very different one. I've also just started rewatching Aaron Sorkin's excellent TV show, The Newsroom, with my daughter. We watched the pilot last night and then half of the second episode, and she loved it. She's 16, and I'm a huge Aaron Sorkin fan, and I didn't want to try her on The West Wing because I think a lot of the politics should get bogged down in a lot of the politics. But The Newsroom is a lot more recent, and I thought might appeal to her. So having watched just last night, people in a control room, who does the graphics, how do you do this, cut to this camera, we're going to bring this person in, we're going to switch this feed. It's just anything behind the scenes when it's done well is interesting. This is brilliant, and it's an hour and 35 minutes long. And if you know anything about history or sports history, world history, you will know the outcome, and the outcome isn't good. But watching them try to tell this story, knowing that it's being seen around the world, and the pressure on them to do a good job, the fact that, yes, they're sports reporters, they were expecting to be out there covering the volleyball and the fencing and the swimming, not a hostage situation. So yeah, absolutely fascinating, really good, stylish, excellent cast, tight, whips along wonderfully well. You sort of hit the ground running, and there's not really time to catch your breath. Not manic in the way that Saturday Night was, but just in that there's immense pressure, the time pressure, it's all happening. They haven't got time to stop and think about how they're going to do it, but they need to make sure they do a good job. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. 2025 is off to an absolute fly. I've seen some great films already this year, and it's only early February, so I will be back soon with another one. Who knows what? Not me, not yet, but I will be back soon. Thanks for watching. I continue to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, to share it with people who might like it, and hopefully by the time I do another review, my voice might have come back properly and I won't sound quite as ridiculous as I do right now. But thanks for watching. Katie out.